Meditations in a Year of High Consequence, Day 8. But it's also February 17th, first day of Fire Horse, Chinese New Year. We just got through the year of the snake, shedding old skins. These are good metaphors. The Fire Horse says just full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. More than that, really. Full steam ahead, doubled up, and with assurance and strength and magnificence. But we better respond somehow to that, some kind of way, to this crisis on the planet. And the people that I'm calling the Intrepid Citizens Council, I guess, is who I'm addressing everybody on one level. I'm addressing the people that might make something happen more intimately, and at this point it's just me and the one mind, because I am into some new brainstorms about the challenges. Um, it's amazing how the challenge for everyone in the first and second worlds, in the I got some friends in Africa that are keeping it real, man. People over there are talking about what they're eating, but at the same time, they're all plugged into the same matrix. That's why I'm talking to them. I guess everybody's into this. What we're speaking over right now, the social media global network. People don't forget. This is so amazing compared to, let's say, the 1970s. Right now, if anybody was making any sense for real, everybody would know about it right away. If there was a project that was making sense for real, everybody would know about it right away. Maybe, right? Unless it interfered with status quo issues. I don't, all the paranoia about us versus them. Yeah, but I was going to say, I got a lot of brainstorms, and this is new information. And um, I want, somewhere, the last time somebody gave me advice from Jehovah directly. So this is direct word from Jehovah. So, okay, all right, let's hear it. Forgive everyone, including yourself, and don't hold back. I don't think this was meant for everyone, because the don't hold back part, you don't want to tell crazy people stuff like that, or people that are too. But if you can get to that place, that's kind of where we need to go. And that's kind of what I've been saying in terms of the high ground of um, outside the institutions. But the place outside of the institutions that's still workable is the free market, what they're calling the free market. Although you could get outside of that too and make some things happen, and those count. Because what counts is our daily lives and how we interact and the joy of it and the meaningfulness of it. But we're in a place that's being controlled by controlled by the economy, not by people, by the system that's got us, first of all, somewhat pitted against each other, because we go off in all our own directions, and the whole there's no coherent incentives to work together around meaningful causes, because we're supposed to be in a materialist revision of what the meaning of everything is, but we haven't gotten to some coherent, organic, new meanings yet. I mean, we have, but it hasn't, uh, because people understand intrinsic meanings and values. You don't have to get all, I mean, if you do get all metaphysical and philosophical about it, then what? Are we cattle, or are we children of God? Or are we, as the Buddhites, the Jehovite, the Buddhite is the one. I don't want to get the two versions of spirit need to be just understood as two different versions of it, and they do come together, but the two camps don't necessarily see it that way. That's one of the features about my own visioning, and the idea that we really can come to a oneness of understanding. And can we come to a oneness of working together? Because we are a oneness of being. Does that include a focused masculine intentionality to all of it? Strangely and miraculously, which makes it all good? Even the Buddhites, don't think that is, you know what I mean? That's not coming from their side of it. That's the Jehovite side. The Christian, you don't really need to understand it if you open your heart. But then, then the Christians start pointing fingers because they think they know it all. You don't know it all. You're just part of it all. You become part of it because it's a real thing, a higher dimension of spirit. Now, the Buddhites understand this from a personal view. the higher dimension of spirit that would have you just believe things and then that's how they are. No, that's crossing some things over. That's if you're Jehovah, maybe that works. I don't know. But it is how you perceive things and it is how you align with things. But then there's the third element of the real world, the material plane, where you crash your car into a wall. You can believe whatever the hell you want. Yeah, you don't have to use a car. Just run into a brick wall and tell me that that's all in your mind. Uh, but the idea is that we are in a real situation. But strangely, there's a lot of influences that are not um, easy to like explain to everybody, but I think I get it. All right, but it's about a lot of all these perspectives are kind of valid. You have to see it from a direct materialist point of view of how does it work chemically, but that's just like that. Well, you want to kill yourself if that's all you're looking at. So then you get to the fact that people do find intrinsic meaning by centering the shamanistic personal path. You can call it whatever you want. You just stop, and that's whatever. I got to like what ended up being high Tibetan Buddhist, pre-Buddhist wisdoms, either by previous lives or the fact that I actually arrived at them in this life in my senior year, but a whole lifetime of really meditating on reality. I think there was previous lives, but you could also explain it from all the influences in this world, and I had kind of an objective perspective on it coming from the Canary Islands, but growing up in New York City right at as the 60s was turned into the early 70s. Take out Jimi Hendrix in my freshman year of high school. I could see the air going out of the whole movement because he was a spiritual leader. People just think of him as a guitarist. He was a visionary and he shared the visions in the music. It's impossible to really say all of it. That's what's still the case. And I don't know. I mean, I had vision in my senior year that's got me understanding how this could work. But I guess I'm talking to myself in the one mind while I gather notes and try to get some allies. And again, eventually this might make sense to more, but it's the idea that we need to work with our higher, we have all these talents, including spiritual visioning, which I've been trying to hone. But the coming together involves our higher values and our higher attributes of being able to do things at a global scale intelligently. But bring it back to meaning, and you get all confused with the postmodernism that doesn't mean anything. That's the materialist point of view. So somehow we have to allow for working back to what each of us really know, but it's hard to bring that into the institutions. So breaking outside of that level of breaking outside of the box. And as I was almost saying, that there were tribes that didn't take it to the ambition of this full understanding of everything. Were content to kind of be be in a niche, in a cultural niche. But somehow, it does progress to where we are now in a natural progression. So the finger pointing is just not useful. And an analysis of what do we need to do next, it might be. And because, we don't want to throw out things. And so trying to understand the real world in materialistic terms, we've made a disconnect with the the religions and the spirit worlds. Okay, well, you can get back to the whole Buddhite, the third version of spirit. First of all, science is finding that mind is a real force outside of the body. I don't have to go over all that, but you can get to it yourself. People understand their own connection to the one mind by meditating and feeling it from within. And the year of the fire horse and all astrology and all that talks about higher understanding of wisdoms. And if you don't want to go there as a materialite, just take it as a personal sense of beingness and coming into being, because it gets to the same place. A logic of why we're intrinsically benevolent and lucid. This is what our nature is, understanding and compassionate. Um, but then there's the people that believe in and have felt the touch of Jesus and Jehovah. And there was a place when I was envisioning all this that I saw how it all came about. Like there was a moment in time where first Sophia came into being, and then other energies, and among those was Jehovah, and he was the first one that actually was a union with Sophia that created the Big Bang. It's a nice metaphor or vision if you wanted to look at it that way. So let's get to all that, because right now where we are is a global situation that if you take all that into account, it starts to maybe make sense, because it's that critical. It's that critical, and all of us are kind of stuck in a materialist box, and even more in the matrix of being on virtual and waiting for our food to come pre-processed, almost as if automatic, and losing our touch with each other and the earth. And then how we try to change it, you've got everybody still in their boxes talking from their perspectives as professors or leaders of different industries, and it's hard to get outside the box of that, and people feel like it's being done to them, and so they look to their leaders, and their leaders are themselves in another box, because you get to be the leader of a politics, and really all you're doing is trying to do maintenance as best you can, and maybe let the economy thrive, whatever kind of economy there is. So then left wants to change the economy using government, and that's a disconnect that makes it worse for everyone. This is why the left has lost its ground politically. But now the right obviously doesn't have the whole picture if they're not taking into account left-wing values. So we're into a political situation right now that's got us in peril, because both sides are not quite making sense. The people want to see something happen. The actual leaders, I think, are the best we can do from America, um, because Trump, at least, is an individual that has intuition. And what he intuited, I think, on the one hand, was that the left wing approach was not yielding, was not going to get us there. The idea of institutions of expert professorial analysis rather than heartfelt, intrinsic, uh, experiential who we are in this, which is more the right wing approach. Somebody's been trying to reach me. I'm sorry. Had to keep my eyes closed for that. And I didn't need to mention it. But we're coming to a place where we're trying to understand ourselves politically, and both sides don't quite get it. But I think we're at least in a place where we've dismantled the illusion that we were going to legislate ecological wisdom and legislate social justice and legislate equal opportunity, because you can't do it. You have to make it happen on the ground. That's the right wing approach. That's why the right wing won the last round, because it really got scary for everyone, including the independents, as disconnected as the left became in their pursuit of institutional justice. It doesn't work like that. So, but the right wing doesn't leaves a lot of people out unless you bring the left wing values back in, and which include justice and bringing everyone in and having everyone be fed, but also in the highest version of that, it's everyone gets to follow their higher goals of wisdom. And if you disconnect the idea of someone just improvement from having that be translated into a profession that needs to make money, so how does that become real? It could happen in the context of a guild of whatever profession. That's where you can have kind of a selfless pursuit of knowledge, and we're all ready for that. And the idea that I'm talking about, yeah, I get smooth right into the practical. That's what the material, like, because if you're just going to get stuck in the spirit world, which I emphasize we should honor, because that gives meaning to the whole thing. And even more meaning is the Jehovite side, which is the right wing. And the left, when they speak of higher values, they kind of have an institutional Buddhist approach, which is generic, and it's make sure, and it's like it's always so afraid of suffering. So it's interesting how they become. There's a Buddhist left wing, and there's a Jehovite right wing, but this applies in the real world. So do you have justice that's imposed by a kind of deadening bureaucracy, which is the Buddhist approach? I hate to say it. Although that's where each of us can get to individually, and I suggest the Christians stop pointing fingers there, because, as I said somewhere else, it's really the reality of infinite existential presence in the now, and all of us being infinite, really, and yet there's such a thing as elder souls that come into being because it's a sequence, and time doesn't exist. So Jehovah might be real because people experience it, and I've seen the possibility that that's how things happen. Almost a sperm and an egg thing, but it becomes experiential because there's no other way to exist than as a genuine somebody there-ness, even though there's primal versions of that. And we come to this right now with 15 seconds. I have to finish this video, but I'm going to come to another one because we have to do it in the practical world. That's what makes this ascension different. And the motherships are thinking, this is similar, but not quite. And what's actually going on?